In this world of technology, things are ever changing, rearranging. You need someone to help you out. I know someone who can. You'll never be alone. You'll be with Paul Amadeus Lane in the tech zone.
This is the Tech Zone. I am Paul Amadeus Lane here on ABC News Radio, KMET, AM and FM. And don't forget, you can check us out on Fire TV. Download the Tech Zone app, and you can watch us on your big screen, as well as other formats. You can check us out on all the major podcasting formats out there. You can subscribe. So if you miss the show live here on ABC News Radio, KMET, you'll get an alert when it pops up. But I wanted to talk more about what we talked about at the beginning of the show, about video conferencing and how just important that has become. Imagine if this pandemic would have happened 30 years ago. You're talking about the world coming to a screeching halt. But because of the technology of video conferencing, I mean, really the sky's the limit. Our kids can go to school. We can conduct businesses. We can have doctor visits. We can do so many things out there. And isn't it nice that companies out there not only provide this type of platform, but the safety and security that goes right along with it? My next guest is going to talk about what his company is doing when it comes to video conferencing innovation. And joining me right now is the VP of Sales in North America for Starleaf. Mike, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
Hey, Paul. How you doing? Thanks very much for having me on the show here today.
Hey,
just for all the audience, I sound English, but I'm talking to you today from Jersey City in New Jersey.
All right. That's New England, right? It's England 2.0, right?
You think?
Hey, and you know, being out here on the East Coast, I hope you're doing well and staying safe, especially during this pandemic. And how are things going?
Things are going good. I've been out living here for a couple of years now. I just like America. I like the spirit here. I like this. There's a vibe here and stuff. And I know the pandemic was tough to start with, but I think it's eased out. New Jersey eased out. You know, Connecticut and New York were tough to start with, but I think everybody's sensible and everybody's grown up about it. I'm not sure about our mental state at the present moment because being locked down, but we're kind of back into the office a bit now, so it feels nearly normal.
Well, that's really good. And you know, one thing we noticed about this pandemic, you saw different companies out there meet the needs of ones who are staying at home, who have to meet virtually, and so they can still, you know, keep the trains running on time and either conduct business or other things. And what did Starleaf do during this pandemic or even before this pandemic to really help meet the needs of the time in which we're living in?
It was crazy. So back in sort of second week in March, it was really kind of crazy. And do you know what? All of a sudden, everybody just migrated back to working at home. And I think people did work from home a bit before, but maybe it's 20% of the time they're working from home. All of a sudden, everybody headed home and started working from home, and it was chaotic. And we're a meeting solutions company, and it's our honor to help people do that migration back. But also, we want to do it in a measured way. Okay, people want reliability, they want security. And those things are paramount to us, really paramount to us. So we tend to work in some sort of niche markets. We're very big in healthcare, where things like reliability. I'll give you an example. Lurie's Hospital in Chicago, Illinois, is a big customer of ours, and you've got patients who are isolated in beds in hospitals, and the only contact they got with sometimes with doctors and with family is via a video link. And you know what? When you hand that kid in a bed an iPad and he presses the button, it better work straight away, and it can't be disrupted, and you have to be sure that it's safe and secure. So we upped our usage of video conferencing, went up on our network probably over 10x from day one. But we're very mindful. We have a very strong SLA, and that's because we're an enterprise grade solution, and we're very mindful of our reliability and stuff. So we just measured the way we upscaled our platform. Making sure that we kept all our existing customers, giving them the support they needed. But it's been chaotic. It's been a chaotic year.
Tell me about it, Mike. And Mike, for some of our listeners and viewers out there who may not be familiar with the different terms of enterprise and terms like that, why don't you give them an explanation of what that really means so they can look at and say, hey, you know what? I can use that with my company, or I can use that with my organization. Can you give them a brief explanation on what it means enterprise grade, please?
Yeah, I think to us, the enterprise grade piece is really about that reliability. Okay. So if you're an enterprise customer, so you're a business customer, you're expecting something like a 5 nines SLA, which is less than 5 minutes of downtime a year. Some things are critically important. My wife's doing her yoga class on a platform, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's not really life-threatening or really that serious. So we tend to not play so much in that marketplace. We tend to have a subset of customers who believe that security and reliability is the key to what they want. And that's where we operate really, really well. And they're the people we go after, and they work with us because they have some expectation of that. Okay. And I think in this marketplace, there's so many different companies doing what we do. But I think there's space for everybody there. And, we look for the subset of people who really believe what we believe in. Ease of use, reliability, security, key things for us.
And Mike, you brought up something about security. And this pandemic showed just how we placed a real value on lack of security when it comes into tech. And the reason why I say that is because remember when we were all like using video platforms to have meetings and things like that, how things were being hacked, how things were just, not as secure. What did you guys do over at Starleaf to make sure that you guys weren't one of the ones that had this issue, but made sure that security was paramount just on the platform?
I think we kind of approach it different to other people. We don't just run a software service and spin it up in Amazon Web Service or Azure or something like that. From a Starleaf perspective, when we're on a Starleaf call, we own the hardware that sits in the data centers and the software that it runs on the back of that hardware. And when you do the end-to-end piece like that, it means that we can guarantee the reliability on that. And also we're very much an engineering company, and back in the, security was always paramount to us. So we're an ISO 27001 company. So that means not just our service, but all our operations, all our administration, everything is managed under that umbrella of ISO 27001. And that to us is really fundamentally important. I think what happened was, everybody suddenly went home. Everybody grabbed at whatever they could. There was no corporate governance about it. And people saying, this is what our standard is for using. And I think once it all settled down, and I think it's going to happen, I think once people we go into this new world where people sometimes go to the office and sometimes work at home, all of a sudden they're going to look and they're going to have all these desperate different people using different pieces of software and trying to work out how to plug that all back together again. That's going to be a challenge.
That is so true, because what we see now is maybe like a hybrid kind of model going forward, even post-pandemic. Now, you guys have been called a visionary. The company has visionaries. Now, how did you guys get that label?
It's interesting. So obviously that comes from Gartner, and they do their thing every year where they analyze people. And a visionary is people who are trying to think ahead of the game. Okay, we're not just trying to work on what's happening today. We're trying to think what's going ahead in the future. And a key thing for us at the moment is, I think, because everybody's suddenly gone home and working from home, a lot of platforms have said, okay, we need this facility, we need that, we need all these features and stuff. And what they end up doing is they add all these new features, and then they suddenly realize they put a new layer of complexity over the whole environment. Okay. So we try and avoid that. So we're trying to think carefully about what happens in the future, not add 200 new facilities on that thing. What does that kid sitting in the bed need to do? Okay, he needs to be able to press the button and talk to his parents at home. That's fundamental. That's really, really simple. What do people do when they do video conferencing? Most of the time, they want to share something. They want to share a document, share a screen or stuff like that. I think a lot of the PR in the marketplace at the moment is about, let's do this, let's have breakout rooms and all this stuff. But there's also a compromise, you see. So, some of the other platforms where they give you all these other features, but you can only use them if you don't have this security piece, and you have to switch the security off to get these facilities. We don't believe in that at all. We believe that security and reliability and that ease of use and uncomplex use is paramount for us.
I totally agree, because when something is too complex, you lose your audience, you lose your customer base. It's like, it's too hard. I can't understand. I don't know how to do it. And when we look at just the integration that Starleaf offers out there, talk about, the technology when it comes to that, how you can integrate it with different apps out there. And what does that look like for ones who are looking to use the platform, or for those who are already using the platform?
That's a really, really, really important point, because people have workflows. So I have my workflow. This is, I want to book a meeting. This is the way I do it. I go to Outlook, I go to Gmail, I do these different ways of things. So we plug into all of those really, really simply. So we don't say you have to come into our platform to schedule a call, but you can do it from whatever platform you use. And that's really, really important. And that to us is, it's simple integrations. It really is simple. Don't disrupt people's workflow. Just make it really, really simple. And that's another thing that's just super important to us. And we hire a bunch of UX guys who sit there and they're just looking at workflows. How do people get from here to here? How can I take the steps out? But also not just for when you're actually operating the system. When you originally get it, how many times do you see some piece of software and you think, this is great, this is gonna really save me some time, and you start to download it and it becomes really complex, and you put your email in, it doesn't like your password, and all this stuff that goes on. It has to be really, really simple and intuitive to use, and don't add extra complexity. So if I'm an Outlook client, I walk into Outlook now and I press a button and it just fires up my normal Outlook meeting invite, and it adds some Starleaf information, says this is how you can join if you're on video. Even browsers, you need to be able to make it that if someone hasn't got Starleaf, how do they join from a Google Chrome browser? It's very much similar. It's funny for me because it's always a story. My mum's 82, she lives in England, and I video with her every weekend, and she has an iPad. And I tell you, if it was complex and I had to ask her to download something or press this button, so it just would not happen. She calls me every Sunday. She loves it. She presses the button and she joins the call. That's the name of the game.
I love that, because my parents are both 86, and trying to get them to use a platform, it's confusing for them. If they just had one button to push, it just makes it a lot easier. And even like ones who are part of the disabled community, you talked about ones who are talking to a doctor or lying in the bed. This solution right here really can help out all aspects of just the community out there. And when we look at when the company was founded back in 2008, what was the main focus back then, and how did that change like almost 12 or 13 years later? If you can share that with us.
I think back in 2008, when the company was founded, we were kind of like the pioneers for this. Okay. And we were very lucky. We had a blank sheet of paper and said, okay, as we go into the future, we can, Mark Rich is our chairman. He's a visionary in this marketplace. And I guess that's where we get our Gartner visionary piece from. He's a visionary. He's trying to think ahead of the game. And he's like, okay, people are doing this now. What is this going to look like in 2, 3, 4 years time? What technology needs to be in place to do that in that time? And we basically, we were in stealth mode for a couple of years, actually working out and trying to make it, hiring some really bright, smart people to try and think about, what does a cloud really look like? What does this really, really look like? And I think we were pioneers back in 2008, and we built up a strong business, very strong in Europe. And now our push is into the US, out into Latin America, very much down into Asia Pacific and stuff like that. So I think, we believe that you shouldn't necessarily be in a hurry to get this technology. Let's get it right rather than rush it. Okay. And so the company's been going 12 years, and I've got to say, it's great fun working here. We have great fun. We hear lots of great stories. Another one I'll give you is we've done a couple of court districts down in Georgia where the judge, all of a sudden, they need to arraign people who are on remand in prison, and you don't want to pick them up, transport them to the court. So they stand there for 1 minute and say, not guilty, or say something. So why not do that from video conferencing? And if you look at the judges, they were in that, danger area because they're normally slightly older. And so from a COVID perspective, they were very paranoid about it. So we did a bunch of work with them. So to us, it's very much about let's have a steady approach to this. Let's not just knee jerk and do loads of bits and pieces. Let's make sure it's secure, reliable, and easy to use. And I've got judges down in Georgia who use Starleaf, and they're like, it's simple. And they can't believe, we got some case studies out in the marketplace where they're like, we can't believe we didn't do this before because it's just simple. Let's not even worry about the cost savings, because imagine picking prisoners up from a prison, transporting them with the risk of doing that to the local court. They're there for 2 minutes, and you've got to take them way back again. Someone's paying for that.
That's true. That is a great example of the solution and the innovation that you guys have. And when we look at where we're at in the stream of time now, and we look at how certain ones are looking for different solutions that can definitely help them out, how does the technology kind of help accelerate the company's vision with AI and machine learning or any other technologies out there. How are you guys using that to really help, continue the push of having this great piece of innovation?
Well, that's an interesting question as well. So we partner with some of the big, Poly is one of the biggest hardware brands for room-based systems in the world, very, very big in North America. And we partner with them, and they've got some, we're clear about where our expertise is. We run a meeting platform, and we do that really, really well. Other people have different skill sets, and Poly have a great skill set there so they have the little soundbar type of units. And they have cameras which will frame. So they look for people talking, look for facial recognition. They start to frame things in. They have, this is really useful for people working at home at the moment, especially if you've got youngsters running around. They have a thing called acoustic fence. So they can literally set a boundary around you where no noise can come in. And you literally can move in and out of the boundary and the noise goes. So that type of stuff. And I think from a Starleaf perspective, on the platform side, we'll do whatever we can on the platform side. But that front end stuff with endpoints in rooms, conference rooms, auditorium, stuff like that, we're partnered with the best of breeds. That's our strategy there.
That's cool. Love to hear about the strategy that you guys have to really help meet the solutions out there that we definitely need. When it comes to just the product and the platform, we know that you're global. So no matter where you're at in the world, and when the platform is being used, is there any difference, like for United States, for the United Kingdom, for other parts of the globe? Are there different things you have to do to make sure that the platform fits the locale?
There is. One of the key things with us, and this is very much, because we own the whole platform, data jurisdiction is really, really important. So, where is my data stored? And there's, different countries have different compliance for that. But we, under our umbrella of ISO 27001, we cover that. So if if you're a German company, you have to have your data stored in Germany. But if you're a French company, you could probably have your data stored wherever you like. America, it's very much the same. So because we own this whole platform, we operate out of 17 data centers around the world. So we can manipulate what we do. But the one key thing with the overall platform is, like, it's funny, if you phone our support desk at the moment, we never ask you what level of software on, because we know, because everybody's on that same level of software across the whole world. That's a pure cloud solution. It really is pure like. But where we store your data and what we do, you look at hospitals, for example, or any healthcare, they have HIPAA compliance, and that's about where the patient records are stored and where your data is stored if you're recording the videos and stuff like that. But we can accommodate that wherever you happen to be in the world and whatever your local requirements are. We work with that. Recording is interesting because, some people want to know where they're recording stored and stuff like that. You have to put different notifications on the screen, but we manage that all from a platform. It's rather than having different instances around the world, we have, we control the platform out of our main operation centers in North London. We control everything from there, so it's really quite easy for it because it's a pure platform play.
I love it, and thank you for sharing that with us, Mike. Geeks like me want to know. I'm glad you're there.
There's a geek in all of us.
Absolutely, you got it. Now, is there anything else about Starleaf you'd like to articulate to us that we didn't cover so far?
No, I think we, if you get the message from me that it needs to be a very simple, intuitive experience. It needs to be reliable and security. That's the foundation for what we do at Starleaf. And of course, I have to put a plug in. So if you want to find anything else more about Starleaf, on www.starleaf.com, go on there. Try us out. If you're using someone else's solution and you're getting, occasionally you're getting outages, you're not sure 100% about the security, because there's a lot of stuff in the public domain, a lot of news around security, just pop onto our website, download it, give us a try. We have a freemium version of the software, which has some limitations, but mostly on time and how many people can join calls. But you're welcome to go onto that, or just contact us at www.starleaf.com.
I love it, Mike. Thank you for sharing that with us. And before I let you go, best basketball duel of all times. What would your answer be?
So I was very lucky. I lived in Chicago in 89, 90. I used to work for Motorola out in Chicago, and I was there during the Jordan and Pippen era, and it was just remarkable. I managed to see them twice. And I'm not a big basketball fan at the moment, but I'm a Yankees fan. So that's, some people like that, some people don't, but I'll watch the Yankees all day long.
Well, you know what? I'm a Dodger fan, so those are like fighting words, Mike. So we go. You and I, we started off good, but when you mentioned the Yankees, it just went sour from there. No, I'm just joking. Well, thank you so much, Mike, for sharing that with us. I know before I brought you on, we talked about how you lived in Chicago and got a chance to see Jordan and Pippen and everything, and that's when basketball was at its apex, and really, really awesome. Great times. And Mike, we look forward to have you back on again, talking about some more things that are going on with Starleaf, especially when you guys unveil any newer features. Now, some newer features on the horizon that you can't talk about right now, or what?
Listen, there's a few things. I think, as I talked about the whole thing there, to us, it's not about the latest feature, the latest thing. It's about how do we become more reliable, more secure, more safe, and delivering an experience that people want. That's the key for us.
Awesome. And Mike, thank you again. Great talking to you. Really enlightened conversation about meeting platforms, your solution over at Starleaf, and wish you all nothing but success. Look forward to chatting with you soon.
Lovely. Thank you, Paul.
I love talking to Mike. I mean, his accent is awesome. I always said I wish I had an accent, but what's funny is I have friends live around the world, and I ask them all the time. I said, "You have an accent, but does it sound like I have an accent to you?" And they're like, "Yes, Paul, you do have an accent." So they start talking like I was like, "That's pretty amazing, isn't it? How we have all this diversity, and it's just lovely, that we have it." Again, Starleaf. Enjoyed chatting with them and Mike McCarthy. So when we get back, we're going to talk about some software solutions if you're in business that you definitely want to take a look at and find more information about. Right back after these messages.